Hi people, this is Deborah. Again, my videos is not for everyone, and the reason why I continue to uh, talk from the Bible, the Quran, and the Torah, well, the Torah and the Bible is the same. The Torah is just the Old Testament, and the Bible is the Old and New Testament. Um, I'm responding to a question that was asked of me in one of the comment section. Um, and I want you to allow that resonate with you for those of you that are still in the books, and that does not resonate with you, um, go within yourself. That is key. I did a video regarding homosexuality or homosexuals. And one of the question was asked was sodomy a sin? First of all, we need to define what the word sin means in order for me to answer that question. Okay, I'm going to be reading from my notes, and I do my little notes because I don't want to miss the point. Sometimes we can get out of order by speaking certain things, and I want to answer this question, not necessarily for the person that asked the question, because I read the note and I feel like that was a troll, or maybe one of the elites trying to be cute. But however, whatever, I'm going to um, answer the question, and I'm going to answer the question by giving you the understanding of the word sin, S-I-N, because the writer, the question asker, asked the question, was sodomy a sin? Okay? Uh, the Old English word sin meant to miss the mark and was used in archery and elsewhere. Related words exist in Old Norse and German. The word translated as sin in the New Testament is the Greek word harmatia, Hamartia, concordance number G266. Now, that means missing the mark or an error of understanding. Now, some time ago, some years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I did a post on this and on Facebook, and I just put instead of missing the mark or an error of understanding, I just took it right on to what it actually means. Sin just simply means lack of knowledge. And the young lady said, well, no, it means missing the mark. Well, I know it means missing the mark, but I didn't put it missing the mark because I assumed that the Bible readers knew what that was, and they didn't. And so, anyway, I'm going to continue reading my notes. The original Hebrew word for sin has been wrongly translated. It is true, meaning will pleasantly surprise you. Now, the word Hebrew just simply means her way up. There was no such language as Hebrew. It's all Greek. They play and shit. They irritate me with that. The original word sin means to miss the mark. It does not mean to commit something wrong. It simply means to miss or to be absent. The so-called Hebrew root for the word sin means to miss. That exists in few English words: misconduct, misbehave. To miss means not to be there, doing something without being present there. This is the only sin and the only virtue. While you are doing something, you are fully alert. what Buddha calls being rightly minded, what Krishna calls awareness, which Kabir has called sarati, to be there. That's all that is needed, nothing more. You need not change anything, or even if you try to change, you cannot. Careful thought, as the Bible was written in the original language they call the Hebrew or ancient Greek. For me, it's Greek. They both define sin far different from Christians. Missing a target is what is defined by. If we were doing our own research, like spending time to study those language instead of trying to defend something we were forced to believe in from childhood, proves that we're still slaves in the mind. Okay? Religion, racism, and politics are three dogmas that have the same thing in common. They lie and tell you that religion and state is not together. State created religion. Okay? They divided and polarized people. Uh, Nobody has died for you. Okay? Nobody. There was nobody on no cross dying for you. Okay? Each person died for themselves. Each person is responsible for themselves. It's amazing how this BS is still working, enslaving those who are conformed by it. Spirituality is organic. Religion are the artificial added preservatives. Okay? Um, you may not remember this, but check it out. Jeremiah 31:30 says, "But everyone shall die for his own iniquity." Okay? Every man that eateth the sour grape, his teeth shall be set on edge. Jeremiah 31:32 says, "Behold, the days come, says the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel, with the house of Judah." Now, Judah is on the right side of the brain. Israel is Isis, Ra, which is mind, which is ego, and El is elements. All that is you. You got fire, air, water, earth, and spirit. That's you. Okay. There is no new covenant. It is the same. Um, Jeremiah 31:33, "Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt." Egypt simply means bondage within yourself, which my covenant they break. Although I was a husband unto them, saith the Lord. Now the husband is inside the brain. Okay. Jeremiah 31:34. "But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, saith the Lord, I will put my laws in their inward part." Remember, all that stuff is inside. "And write it in their hearts." The heart is inside. "And will be their God, and they shall be my people." Now, why do you go outside of yourself? Now, keep in mind, all this is inside. Now, all this, these scriptures are symbolism. They are allegory. As I always tell you, they are all allegory. They're all symbolism. You got to understand symbolism. You got to understand allegory stories. You can only do that and understand that if you are one that goes inside of yourself. Now, Jeremiah 31:34 says, "And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith the Lord. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more." Now that's in Ezekiel 18:20. No, I'm sorry. That's in Jeremiah 31:34. Now, Ezekiel 18:20 says, the soul that sinneth, it shall die. The soul that receiveth lack of knowledge, that has lack of knowledge, will stay dead. Okay? We are already dead down here as humans. Okay? You only what causes you to come alive is knowledge. Okay? True knowledge. Now, I'm going to read it again. Ezekiel 18:20. I am now giving you understanding of what the scripture is saying. Okay? I'm reading it just that way. Okay? The soul that has lack of knowledge, it says sinneth, shall die. You're already dead if you don't have true knowledge. The son shall not bear the iniquity of the father. Okay? Can't nobody die. Your son ain't gonna die for the father, and the father ain't gonna die for the son. And there was no Jesus on no cross dying for the world, okay? Neither shall the father bear the iniquity of the son. Whatever the father does, whatever the son does, it's gonna be on them individually, okay? The only problem is whatever you inherit through the DNA, now when you talk about the ancestors only exist through the DNA. So you got the good and the evil that comes through the DNA of each ancestors. Okay? Now that's not good for you. You got to break that cycle yourself. And how do you break that cycle? You break that cycle by first acknowledging that it is wrong, okay? And you got to talk about it, and you got to heal from it, and you got to tell the next generation about it so it won't continue on. Okay? That's how it works. I'll give you for instance. My grandmother didn't finish school. My mother went to the 11th grade. I got a college degree. My daughter got a college degree. My granddaughter about to get a college degree. That is a cycle that was broken. Okay? So that's how you do that. Um, I give you another one. My mother used to beat me for sneaking out the house because I was a sneak out the house because she used to make me watch her kids. So I snuck out the house, but I got an ass whooping when I got back in. Okay, so when I had my oldest son, when he did something wrong, I beat his ass. And so the cycle was broken when my daughter had her kids. You have to break those cycles. Okay, the ancestors are in your DNA. The good and the evil is inside the DNA. That's the blood, okay? You know, for those of you that call on the ancestors, you're calling on the ancestors inside yourself, okay? Ancestors don't exist once they pass from that physical body. They hang around here for another 40 days, and after that, they gone from this earth. So when you're talking to the ancestors, you're talking to the DNA, okay? I'm not trying to disrespect a religion because those people, let me tell you something. Like I said, the invisible negative forces will hear you when you call yourself calling on your ancestors. They will respond to whatever name that you are ignorant in, and they will make you think that entity it exists and it don't. It's them. They are negative entities. Okay? Now, sin, they say that they wrote that sin is the god, which is the moon, called Nana. Okay? And people worship the moon, and people still worship the moon. They actually count the slivers in the moon, which is the little white shades in the moon. You count them, it's like 30 of them. This, when I was doing the festivals, I was utilizing the moon as the lunar calendar. I was observing the lunar calendar and I was using the moon to do it. But that moon is considered to be sin. They call it sin. And no, it's not the female. Okay, it is really the male. That sun up there and that moon up there is uh, uh, male. My oldest son, which is now 45, he used to tell me as a child growing up, Mama, there's a man in the moon, there's a man in the moon. I didn't believe that shit he was talking about. I said that was just bullshit, his imagination. Well, and I am 63, and guess what? At age 45, I finally saw the man in the moon. And the man in the moon was jet black. And the man in the moon had some type of gold head dress around his head. He had a long beard and a mustache and black hair on the side. And his face covered the entire moon. Then later on sometime, the fucking moon, uh, uh, my daughter and I was sitting in the car, and the goddamn moon became a holograph, and it started coming down over her car. And she was scared, and I looked at it like it was fucking crazy, and it just disappeared. But from that day forward, I knew the moon was not anything good. Okay. Anyway, there was a time where they called the moon sin, and like I say, sin is not female, it's male. Okay. They changed the word sin to sua, SUEN, and transformed it into the word uh, sin as their favorite name for the moon god. Uh, Sin is a name essentially Samara in origin, which had been borrowed from the Semitics. Now, in ancient Syria and Canaan, the moon god Sin was usually represented by the moon in its crescent phase. At times, the full moon was placed inside the crescent moon to emphasize all the phases of the moon. And there are 4 phases that used to take place up there. And you already know because some of you are still observing the moon as the days. Some of you. If you the moon god is talked about in Deuteronomy 4:19, 17:3, 2 Kings 21:3, 5, and then 23:5, and then Jeremiah 8:2, 19:13, Zephaniah 1 and 5, etc. I just listed some of them. Even today, people are still governing the days by the sliver in the moon. I used to myself when I was walking according to the Pales, which call themselves Jews, and they're not, because the word Jew has to do with Jewry, Jewel, which means the word is for chakras, and there are chakras inside of you. There are 12 of them, not 7. The males knows about 7, but the women have 12 chakras. Think about it. Use your common sense. In order to give birth to a child, you have to have more than what the men have anyway. We're not even. We're not equal. You can't be equal giving birth to another life. Okay. If they got 7, we got 12. Or if they got 7, we can't have 7. We have to give birth to another life. But anyway, I just threw that in there. Let's see here. Even today, are people still govern the days by the sliver in the moon? I used to myself, when I was walking according to the pales, the so-called Jews, even though their God is Yahweh, YHWH, YHVH. Remember the W is a double V, so it really is YHVH, Bob. Wrong. Wrong side of the road. The reserved oncoming traffic is by 1838 to be from or on the wrong side of the track. From the poor part town is from 1921. American English, wrong. That which is improper or unjust. Late Old English from wrong. I just gave you the meaning of the word wrong. Okay, I'm giving you the meaning of the etymology of the word right. The word has the same etymology at the first definition, R-I-H-T. Even though the word did not then mean the same as the modern context, its meaning good, proper, fitting. The idea was that the right side was the correct side. What does right and wrong mean? Right and wrong is a concept in morality of there being some action that are morally correct and others that are morally incorrect, and that the person acting should know one from the other and prefer to take the right action. In theory, they say, is there any right side or wrong? There is no right and wrong. There is no reason for anything. Existing just exists. However, thoughts through an accidental formation of matter and energy, consciousness has formed. Now, those that's walking around calling themselves gods, for them there is no sin. For them there is no wrong or right. For them, we created ourselves to have a human experience. That's what they say. Now, so I guess if they see a person getting raped, that's a human experience. If they see a person getting robbed, that's a human experience. If they see a child getting molested, that's a human experience. If they see somebody getting beat up physically and somebody getting abused, that's a human experience. I guess they would turn their head the other way and walk on, because for them, they are having a human experience. Then you got those that call themselves Christians. They would see the same thing and they would walk on by, because for them, those people are getting punished for something that they did wrong. So they would walk on past. Now, for us that know the difference between right and wrong, we would do something about it. If I walk by and see a man beating up his wife, I am going to intercede. If I walk by and see a mother kicking her child and beating up her child, I am going to intercede. If I walk by and see any type of violence behavior or any type of abuse, I am going to intercede. Why? Because it's wrong. Now, my ending piece is this. The word sin simply means missing the mark. Your knowledge is inside of yourself. And a lot of times, your knowledge, because we grew up in an environment where mom and dad taught us to go to church, and we got misinformation, okay? And we go to school, we get misinformation, okay? And so the brain says it's time for you to know the truth. And so when you start getting the truth in your brain, then you start rejecting it. Why? Because you're not accustomed to what you're getting. You are afraid of what you're getting because nobody never told you what you're getting. And so you reject what you're getting. So that's called missing the mark. Okay. Now, what that will do also, it'll start drawing you on the outside. It'll start drawing people to you on the outside, and that will give you the same thing. And that person or that persons may explain the same thing that you already got inside your head in a little better, in a much better way, to where you can get it. Because when you get hit with something for the first time, it could be a little scary. It could be a little scary. What I got hit with, Yahweh is Yadabra, which is the evil force in this planet. That was kind of scary for me because I didn't want to go against something and be attacked, because I've been attacked all my life down here in this planet. And so I didn't want to go against something that was going to attack me even more. But guess what? When it was given to me, nobody was around, because I am one that allow my inside to give me knowledge and information. As painful it can be sometimes, um, I go ahead on and accept it, and then as time progresses, I get calm about it. So I'm gonna say this to you, that you do yourself injustice when you reject what comes to your head, inside your head, for the first time. You do yourself injustice when you reject it, because that's your truth. Your truth is never outside. And what happens with me in my truth, it will give me knowledge about me. It will give me knowledge about uh, my past lives. It will give me knowledge and how I'm connected to the cosmos. It will give me knowledge on things in the planet here and people. Um, when I was younger, I used to be able to see straight through people's physical body and to see exactly what people look like, and it used to scare the shit out of me. But now that I've gotten older, it doesn't scare me anymore. I could literally see your darkness in everybody. That's something that's always been with me. Like I say, we always get we always have fear of things that's considered to be the unknown are things that comes to you for the first time, and you ain't heard nobody talking about it, and you probably won't hear nobody talking about it. That doesn't mean it's not true. But missing the mark, sin sin has nothing to do with wrong or right. There was no man that died for your sin. um, your sin is dying in lack of knowledge. That's your sin. Is there such thing as wrong and right? Yes. I already told you about that. What's wrong and what's right. I was hanging out with my daughter's children on yesterday. I took them to the skating rink, and at this particular, it's called the House of Fun. I think it's on Metropolitan. It's a real. I met the owner. He actually came up. He invited to talk about favor. This man came up to me and invited me and my grandkids into a private, uh, which would be um, with VIP section, because everything was free. He was celebrating um, being opening. And so he was from Grenada, and he came over. We got some food that was free, and he came over and he asked me about how was the food, and how, how was my time there, and we just had a very delightful time, and I really enjoyed it. And to find out that he was the owner of Golden Glide, which was on Indicator. Back in my days, my skating days, we used to go over there to Golden Glide and skate. And I had not a clue that this same guy owned Golden Glide back in the 1990s. I think he said he owned it, he started owning it in 1993. But my point is, there was a young lady, but she wasn't young. The heifer was my age. And my grandkids and I were walking. And this female jumped immediately in front of my granddaughter, almost causing my granddaughter to fall and trip over. And out of my mouth came, see, that's what I'm talking about. You old heifers cannot expect for the young kids to respect you or to do right because you're not good role models your damn self. And I was waiting on her to say something to me, and I'm gonna tell you, I kind of get a little crazy when it comes to my grandkids. You're talking about that good and evil. Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna straight out tell you, if you're doing a harm to my grandkids, that evil gonna come out of me, and I'm gonna, I was talking to a girlfriend of mine. She said that's not evil, that's defense. You're being defensive. Okay, well, I don't care. Y'all can call it whatever you want to, but if you can take on the same mentality as someone that you call evil, even if you are defending yourself, it's still evil because you about to do some damage. You about to tear some ass up. But anyway, I just wanted to, I hope that this clarifies what the word sin means. It just does not have anything to do with uh, wrongdoing as far as behavior. It just has to do with the way you treat yourself, and you don't allow yourself to get the full knowledge of who you are and what your purpose is here in the earth and what all this is, because all this is an illusion. What gets me when I tell people you are a spiritual being, which means you came from the invisible before you became physical. So if you came from the invisible before you became physical, why do you think your power is in this physical? No, no. Your power and your fight and your knowledge is in the invisible. So when you go down and close your eyes, these lenses, whatever's there, get it. Because that's your download right there. That's your download. If you are a warrior in this realm, you're going to be a warrior in that realm. And so, right there in that realm, when you come into this realm, you're going to know how to use it in this realm. Okay? If you are a person that have sex in that realm, you're going to have sex in this realm. You got to get this. Everything down here has a spirit. So everything that closes its eyes is going to go into that spirit realm. Everything, except for the robotic ones. Now, mind you, those ones that have calcified pineal gland, they still have a spirit. And they still can close their eyes, and they still can go in that fourth dimension. That fourth dimension is where everything take place. Everything take place in that fourth dimension. Anything that you can think of take place in that fourth dimension. If you're going in that fourth dimension and you're having sex all the time in that fourth dimension, you are operating from your lower chakra. And I'm very serious. If you go in that fourth dimension and your focus is a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and that's all you're getting, you're operating in your lower chakra. When you close your eye, you should be getting energy to come back into this realm to deal with shit in this realm. And you should have energy and power to overcome shit in this realm. Because if you open up your eye into this realm and you didn't get victory in that realm where you had your eye closed, you're going to be defeated in this realm. You can't fight in this realm. You have to do it in the spiritual realm. Because we were first physical, we were first spiritual. See, most people think when you use the word spiritual, they think in terms of good. Spiritual is good and bad. Spiritual is negative and positive. That's what spiritual is. You know, it's just important to define and etymology of words. When they tell you that when they tell you the Bible concordance is Hebrew, Greek, and Latin, they're giving you bullshit. There's no such thing as Hebrew. Like I said, it's her web. And is there a such thing as Greek and Latin? Yes. The language was Latin and Greek. Okay. The most current was simultaneous. Well, it was Latin and then Greek. And so if you pay attention, the fraternities, sororities are Greek, with the mix of Latin. Your Bible, your books, they're pretty much Latin and Greek. So excuse me. The Hispanic people, their journey come lately. The actual people that was had the Latin language, they were dark people, darker than myself. So don't fool yourself. So what you see as there was no such language as Hispanic. That's new. It was Latin. And it's amazing. They just like English. It was no such language as English, and that's new as well. And they keep changing words and making you think that this shit been around for a long time, and it wasn't. They make it up as they go along, just like they go in and they do etymology on words. They changing these words and giving it a new meaning. I like to play pogo. I like to play spades, and I was on that. Y'all should join me on spades. You will have yourself a laughing. It's just so fun the way them people cut up. I mean, these are old people. They cut up. But anyway, this lady said to me, I told her, she said, be nice. I told this person, we were playing cards, and I told this person, I said, you bid a 4. Why you didn't make it 4? They made it 2. I said in comment, I said, simple math. And then this lady said, be nice. And I told her, I said, I don't want to be nice. Nice means stupid. And then she said, well, they're changing the etymology. I about fell on the floor. You know, you got to understand, they're changing these words. What you knew it as before, it is not as it is today. And it's the same thing. I wouldn't be surprised that you go and when you look up the concordance number for the word sin, it's not what I put in there. I'm pretty sure they're gonna change it, and they may change it to behavior, doing this, doing that. You know, it's amazing. But anyway, I'm gonna post some of the stuff that I've said at the bottom of this video. And remember, I do have a Facebook page. If you come onto my Facebook page, you need to inbox me because I'm not going to accept any more random invites. I'm just going to delete you. So if you are one that sent me a friend invite and I did not accept you, it's because you did not inbox me first. I think it's rude to send people invites and not say hi to them. Um, I'm one of those person. I practice what I preach. I believe in uh, manners. I think it's important to greet people. I think it's important to um, say excuse me. I think it's important to if you and a person come up to a crosswalk and you know that person came first. I feel like you should wait and let them go and then you go. I just believe in manners, and so uh, I've taught my kids that, and my grandkids have that mannerism as well. And I just think it's important. I mean, we're gonna have to at some point learn to respect. We're gonna have to learn to respect one another. I don't care if you. I'm not gonna get into that. I'm gonna leave that alone for another video. I'm gonna do a freestyle video, and that way I can get off subject. But anyway, um, have a good one.